Welcome back to another video in the college algebra series. Today we're going to be doing what's called the vertical line test to determine whether y is a function of x. Now, in a previous video, I gave you those couple of rules as far as when given the equation of the graph. And, as long as it didn't have x squared or y squared or x equals a number, y is a function of x. Now, what if you're given a graph now? So what you do is, it's really simple. All you do is you draw a vertical line and you imagine that vertical line moving left to right. And as long as the vertical line doesn't cross the graph of your line more than once, it passes the vertical line test. Thus, you could say that the graph is a function, y is a function of x, and the graph is a function of x, right? So let me draw a blue line to kind of show you this, right? So if I draw this imaginary line, right? So I'm going to say like this. Let me draw a little bit darker. So this imaginary blue line, if I move it left to right, does this blue line cross this graph more than once? No, it only crosses once, right? No matter where you move this line left to right. So this thing passes the vertical line test. Thus, you would say yes. Y is a function of x. Okay. Now you're gonna get some, kind of funky ones. Something like this, right? Well, if you draw a vertical line, right, and you move this left to right, is y a function of x? Well, for this graph, it is. This passes because if you draw at this point right here, if you draw a blue line at this point, right, it crosses this filled in dot, right, and this is the dot right below it is a hole. It's not filled in, meaning it doesn't exist right there. And so because of that, this would pass, so you'd say yes. So you'd say yes. Y is a function of x. Now, if your graph, let's say you had a graph, same graph, right, to here, and then he swoops up, so let's say some crazy function. Well, because in this graph, because if you draw a blue line, right, you're going through 2 points. My blue line crosses this graph, a graph where it exists. The filled in dots mean it exists. So this blue line crosses this graph twice, right? So you would say this would be no. This would be a no. This fails. This picture right here fails the vertical line test. Thus, so you'd say no. Y is not a function of x. Okay. And so you really have to watch it like in piecewise functions, right? Graphs of circles, graphs that look like this, where your parabola is turned sideways. So when you see that, these will always fail the vertical line test, right? And these a lot of times will have y squared in your equation, so going back to that other video, it would fail those rules. So that's how you use the vertical line test to determine whether y is a function of x. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below, or you can email me in the description. Thanks.